Welcome ladies to our first energy lesson. This is part 1 and we'll be looking at energy demand, supply and consumption globally. In your previous part of this topic you were looking at UK energy. Here we're looking at global energy. So to start us off, I'd like to look at some keywords. It's really important we understand what the keywords mean so that we have a good base knowledge for the rest of our learning. Also, when you get into that exam, if you don't know what the keywords mean, you will not know what the question's asking you. This is basics. Get the keywords right. So what I'd like you to do is have a go at matching up the keyword to the definition. You can pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so let's go through some of the answers. Energy surplus. This is if we have energy left over, if supply exceeds demand. So once everyone's used their energy, have we got some left over? Energy deficit is when we haven't got enough energy to meet everyone's demands. Energy security. This one is really important definition, really important. Having enough uninterrupted energy to meet demand, which is at an affordable rate. It's not enough to say having enough energy to meet demand. Our energy that we've got must be affordable. We must be able to afford it. It must be a continuous flow. We must be able to access it. If we can't, or it gets interrupted or stops and starts and we can afford it one month and not the other month, we are not secure. So those phrases in that definition are really important. Energy insecurity is obviously the opposite. And then when we say demand, it's making sure that we've got the amount of energy needed for a population to ensure that they are developing socially and economically. In your previous topic of resource management, you looked at how energy, food and water are absolutely crucial for social and economic well-being. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about demand. Have we got enough energy to meet those needs? Okay, so on this slide we've got a figure here and it shows us the global distribution of energy consumption. Consumption is how much energy we are using. So in our exam we'll be getting lots and lots of figures. Now you should be jumping for joy when you see a figure because they're easy marks. You just have to look at them carefully. You just have to designate a little bit of time to look at it carefully because all the information you need is on there. So this map is showing us energy consumption per capita, so per person, of countries around the world. And it's got a key on there. So the darker red areas show us the countries which are consuming the most energy, and the countries which are yellowy, lighter colour, they're the countries which are using the least amount of energy. So in order to practice the skill of interpreting figures, what I'd like you to do is have a go at the 3 tasks on the screen. The first task is identify 3 countries with high consumption. The second task, identify 3 countries with extremely low consumption. Doing those 2 things is really good for your locational knowledge. I want you to be able to go into that exam and look at a map and know where countries are and know what country is which. It will save you time and it will save you a little bit of stress. The third task, I'd like you to describe the distribution of energy consumption. When we describe in a figure, it just means say what you see, like in catchphrase. You do not need to say why. So you don't need to say why Australia has a high consumption. You just need to say that it does and what is the distribution. When we say distribution, we're talking about what is the spread. So my class, we always talk about the spread of jam on a piece of toast. Is it all in the middle? Is it mostly in the middle and a little bit at the edges? Is it evenly distributed? Have a think about using phrases like that. Also, it's a map. Use phrases like north, east, south and west. Use your compass directions and use specific countries and use information from the key. So have a go at those. I'll give you a chance now to pause the video and then I'll show you the answers in a moment. Okay, and here are some of the answers. Now, these aren't all the correct answers. These are just a few that I've picked out, and a few phrases that you might have used in your description. So on this slide, we're going to have practice that skill of interpreting a map again. So very similar tasks. Identify 3 countries for task 1, same for task 2, and again describe the distribution for task 3. This map is showing us energy supply. So this is about who has the energy. Okay, who has the energy? And again, the key is slightly different, but make sure you look at that carefully in order to interpret the map correctly. You can pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the answers then. Again, the same thing. There are other answers to this, but these are just a few that I've picked out. So if you want to take the time now to green pen any of those answers, you can. So thinking about the geography that we've looked at, you've practiced a skill, but let's actually think about what these maps actually show us. So one is supply, one is consumption. And we need to think about the two together. So we need to think about the relationship between the two maps. Hopefully what you've noticed in your answers is that the higher income countries consume the most, which is what we would expect, but also they have the highest amount of supply as well. So if you think about your general knowledge, we know that China has a lot of coal, and we know they're a high income country. We know that Saudi Arabia has huge amounts of oil reserves, and yes, they are quite a rich country. Again, the UK and Russia, large gas reserves, and we are higher income countries. So energy must play a huge role in economic development. And that's one of the things you looked at in the resource management section of this topic, thinking about how energy, food and water play such an important role in social and economic well-being. Without energy, we cannot develop. So we've got a short exam question here. It's only 2 marks. It says, suggest one reason for the relationship between energy consumption and energy supply. The reason I've chosen this question is because of the command word, suggest. It doesn't say give. It says suggest because we need to have a little bit more information. If it was give, you just have to give one word answer, that's not a problem. But this, we need to give a bit more information. And the fact that we actually have, I can see it's 2 marks, that also indicates to me that I have to develop my answer slightly. I'm not looking for a full tap paragraph, but I am looking for you to expand on your point. So I'll read that again. Suggest one reason for the relationship between energy consumption and energy supply. This is asking us, what is the relationship? How do they link? Energy consumption and energy supply. Why are those two linked? So I'll give you a moment to pause and have a go. Okay, and let's have a look at an answer here. If you'd like, you can pause and green pen your answer. It says one reason for the relationship between consumption and supply is economic development. Countries have a higher consumption if they have higher supply. This is because they can afford to extract the energy. It's that last part that's so important. You may not need that first sentence, but certainly the second part is important. So globally around the world, energy demand and consumption is increasing at a rapid rate. Now what I'd like you to do is make a spider diagram or a list of all the reasons you can think of why energy demand or consumption is increasing across the globe. You can pause now and have a go. Okay, let's have a look at some of these answers. Now there are 3 main reasons why demand is increasing. You may have come up with lots of reasons, but there are 3 main reasons. The first is population growth. Population growth just means more people using energy, more higher demand. Think about how much energy we use in our day-to-day lives, powering my computer, getting me to work, heating my water for a shower in the morning, cooking my dinner. We require so much energy. And, right now we've got a population of pretty much 7 billion. You think how much energy is required to meet the needs of all those people. The second is economic development. I've talked about this already, how we need energy to develop. We are now thinking about how countries, if they're developing, are moving from a primary industry, farming, where there's energy demand is not so high, to secondary, manufacturing goods to trade and sell and make money. A tertiary industry, quaternary industry. These two industries need high amounts of energy. If we're looking at the service industry, say you are a restaurant, you need it to cook the food, to power the air conditioning, to have the lights on. You need it for, even in teaching, a service industry, to power the computer, heat the building in the winter. Not only are we developing, but also we're developing this consumer culture where we constantly want to buy more and more products all the time. How many of you have got more than 2 pairs of jeans? You wear a school uniform half the time, we don't need the jeans, but we've got this culture where we buy things and we don't really need to. The next and the last is technological advancements. We rely on computers and mobile phones across the globe, and we need the energy to ensure that we can power those. This links with our global travel and trade. Without energy, globalization would not have occurred. We couldn't ship products all around the world. We couldn't have global tourism, and we certainly couldn't be trading goods. And so for that, it's incredibly important. And that is why our demand is increasing. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to complete the following paragraph in 3 different ways. Now, I've put up a few notes to help you with your paragraphs. You can pause now and have a go at that. Okay, on the next slide, 2 speech bubbles, and these are just 2 people in 2 different countries explaining why their energy demand and consumption is increasing. What I'd like you to do is read through this and make some notes on the reasons why. And then what you can do is, once you've made these notes, you can go back to your paragraphs from just now and add anything in you didn't, or it might help you to write a little bit extra on the end of one. Okay, so I'll give you time now to have a go at that. Okay, and here are the things you should have written down in those notes. You can pause now just to check you've got the right things and continue to add to your paragraphs. So here's what the mark scheme says. Have a read of the green writing, but also really pay attention to what it says in the box. This is a really good indication of the difference between a level 1 answer for a question like this and a level 2. You'll notice that the level 1 answer is basic and it will just give simple statements, a simple reason for the how technological advances have led to a rise in energy demand. But your level 2, the difference, to gain those extra marks, you need to say why that would lead to an increased amount of energy. So you can pause now and green pen your answers. Okay, one more question, just because I know you love doing exam questions, and they're only 4 marks, so technically only 4 minutes. This question says, outline 1 social impact and 1 economic impact of increased energy use. Now, the same style question as what we've just had. The command word, outline. This isn't just give, this is say, give me some information, develop it. And it's a two-part answer again: social impact, economic impact of energy use. Okay, so if we're rewording that question, it's asking us, what is the problem of us using more and more energy on people and on the economy? So I'll give you a couple of minutes now to pause the video and have a go. So here is what the mark scheme says. Grab your green pens, add anything you didn't have, or correct anything, or tick, and you might have got a full 4 marks. Thank you very much, ladies, for listening. I hope that was helpful. If you need any help, please email me. And if you would like me to mark any of the work that you've done through this lesson, please email it through and I'll give you some feedback. Take care.